practical and give advice about exactly how to move about with your career, up, down, side, and in and out.
And that's ALEXANDRADURAN. Okay.
Right. And also you can find me on the web under Duran Consulting. I am the CEO and founder of Duran Consulting. I began this business 20 years ago when I stepped off from being the General Counsel and VP for Personnel of Fashion Institute of Technology.
Okay, and what are some other ways to sharpen or update your skills?
Well, I think that, first of all, anybody that's going to work in the law now really does need to learn as much about how to use technology efficiently and how to streamline the practice that they're in, how to do more with in less time. You know, ever since technology has entered the field of law, everything has become more instantaneous. And it's difficult for people who really are not comfortable with that or feel that they haven't been practicing using it daily, and so that they're not as comfortable as they could be. I would say that the most important skill that you could get is if you have a practice area that you're interested in, that you take classes at the bar associations and learn from younger associates, legal educators, about how to use the technology in the practice area that you want to practice in. That would be enormously beneficial to you.
And also you can follow up with those, let's say you didn't approach the speakers at the seminar, you can always follow up with an email. You enjoyed this. You enjoyed hearing them. You found this and this particularly interesting. And then perhaps ask for an information interview or ask them about opportunities in the field.
Yes, and the one thing that I would say about that is that because people rely so much on email, we tend to be quite brisk in the way that we write to people and ask them for things. And I really want to suggest that you not do that. That if you're going to use email, that make sure, as Ken said, that you mention things from the program, that you take the half hour, the 20 minutes, to think about the program, to write really memorable, detailed things about what you enjoyed. Make it a real, genuine communication to the person. And
also put that in the head notes so you get their attention.
That's exactly right. You know, now, I want to thank you for your remarks at the CLE class last night. Okay.
And in terms of an internship for a person doing it for a second, returning to the legal or business career, is that appropriate, or to volunteer to do? Yes, go ahead.
Totally appropriate. So when I was general counsel at FIT, I offered to law students and to one woman who wanted to return to the practice of law that they could shadow me in my role for a couple of days, and they signed NDAs, and we worked with them. I allowed them to watch me do my job and to ask questions, and I was teaching them how to be a general counsel. And if there was something that was too sensitive, I handed them off to the director of personnel, who showed them our whole grievance procedure and different things that affected how you would be the general counsel in such an institution.
And today there might be think tanks or advocacy groups or groups offering pro bono services. It's a way for attorneys, both young and old, to do good and to make contacts and to learn.
Yes, and the one thing that we have to do, as attorneys, we tend to be a little full of ourselves. We think that our education is phenomenal and that we don't really have to fill in the infrastructure of what we know, because we know we've been trained to know so much. And that I have learned, I've coached over 7,000 people in my business. And what I've learned is that if we don't leave our egos at the door and we don't study and become experts in the subject matter that we want people to help us with, if we don't make a tremendous visible effort that they can evaluate themselves, they're not going to make an offer for you to come into their office and follow them around. You have to show your dedication, your perseverance, and how much you're willing to invest before you ask them to invest. And then they will invest a lot.
And in terms of people recontacting their old employer or their old network or their old colleagues, even if they've been out of, off the radar for a while, there's really no harm in doing that. The worst they can do is ignore you or say no.
Right. And the only other thing I would say about that, I guess my theme is, always be prepared, okay? So I don't think it's a good idea to meet with people until you actually know which direction you want to go in, what kind of practice you want to be involved in, what practice of law you're interested in, because then it seems like you're transferring the burden of all this to the other person. You don't want to say to them, what should I do? You want to say, I'm interested in this. Can you introduce me to anybody that can help me get closer to that goal?
Yeah, part depends on your level of connection with them. If you were an old friend for a long number of years and you want to reconnect, then maybe it's okay to ask them for some kind of guidance or support. That's a question for you.
No, I don't.
You don't think so? Okay, so again, you want to keep it.
Everybody is leading such busy lives. And to suggest to somebody where they should go in their practice or whatever, it's a very big decision. And people are afraid that if it doesn't go well for you, it'll be their fault.
But anyway, you can send a quick email to attempt to reconnect or make a phone call or whatever.
Absolutely. And then when you show up, know exactly what you want. Say, these are the two things I'm considering. These are, do you know anybody in these areas? Okay? Help them help you.
But don't be shy in doing that, because that may help and make a difference as you're trying to restart your career.
You don't have to be shy. You just have to be prepared
and focused.
Yes.
And any other websites or programs out there that can help people reconnect or sharpen their skills? Or
well, there are a few courses lately at different law schools for attorneys that wish to return to the law. They're doing it, first of all, at the New York City Bar Association. There's also a program at Pace University. You can look in the different bar associations to see, which ones are offering courses for people who wish to return to the law. And
even like a Bridge the Gap program may help you reconnect.
That's right.
And I think most law firms or CLE providers will, most of them have some hardship policies for people with limited income.
That's exactly right. Especially for students or former attorneys who are unemployed.
Any other challenges that a person may face? I mean, as they go through, are there any other suggestions you have on do's and don'ts for people who are trying to
absolutely
return to a legal or business career?
The thing that I believe most strongly is that it takes a lot of courage to do these things. They're not easy to do, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed when you think of it as the process all at one time. And what I recommend that you do so that you can be your own best friend is to lay out a plan and then just do one step at a time. And do not overwhelm yourself by thinking of it as this entire gestalt that has to be solved tomorrow. It's one step at a time. Go to a CLE program, get 2 names. That's all, just 2, not 15. Have real conversations with people so that you remember them and they remember you. Make sure that you realize that you're building relationships with people. And you can offer to help them just like they're offering to help you. And you want to do this in a way that manages the anxiety. It does take a lot of courage, but you can help yourself manage the anxiety, the steps that you're going to take, and how successful you will be. If you are too anxious, people are afraid to help you because they think that you're looking for any job, not just the job that they might have. And if they think you want any job, they're afraid you won't stay when you find the one you truly want.
And also, you may not want or need full-time employment. Maybe there's some kind of part-time arrangement. Maybe it could be for a special project, again, that will help you get new, fresh experience and give you a chance to showcase your talents.
Well, absolutely. You want to join committees at the Bar Association, And when people need something to be done, you want to raise your hand, because the best way for people to have confidence in your work is to see your work. Let them see you having good judgment. Let them see that you meet the deadlines, that you get along well with the other people on the committee, that you are a friendly person, that your intelligence hones in on the bottom line of what the issues are in whatever it is they're trying to solve.
And we just have a moment left in the program, and just, again, as far as showcasing your talents, what you've just been mentioning, it can also be through a nonprofit. It can be through some type of alumni association. It can be even a law school alumni. They might need volunteers, and if you can show your ability to be organized and get things done and use technology, that could lead to other connections.
Every place that you go, you are on showcase, because you don't know who anybody that you meet knows, okay? Or who they're married to. We don't use everybody's last name anymore. We all use our own individual names. So you don't actually know who you're meeting and how they may offer to help you, and you should be offering to help them.
And as you said, just take a little step at a time, and don't be afraid to start the process.
That's exactly right.
And just give us your website again for further information.
It's alexandraduran.com, AlexandraDuran.com.
Okay, I would like to thank our guests, and as you've heard, just take a first step, perhaps help someone take a first step, and if you're an employer or ability to help someone, give someone returning to a legal career a chance, and maybe they can be of help to you, and you can be of help to them. You're listening to Law You Should Know on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College, and also over the internet at ncc.edu/WHPC. If you have missed any portion of this program, you can usually find the podcast by searching WHPC on iTunes. Please join us next week at this same time for another program on Law You Should Know.